Let's pray. Father, tonight we thank you for the city of Pahokee. And Lord, we just ask you to give our leaders your will and your mind as they do the business of this city. May we be in your favor. Bless this city, we pray, and bless this meeting. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Present.
Commissioner Hill,
Present.
Vice Mayor Murphy, Commissioner Walker,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney, Lieutenant Piccolo,
Here.
City Clerk here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff. And thank each of you all for being here today to participate in our workshop and our regular commission meeting of August the 14th, 2018. This workshop of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee is being held to discuss the August 14, 2018 agenda. At this time, I turn this portion of the program over to our city manager to guide us in the discussion of the agenda items.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission, community. Thanks for coming out tonight. We did have a short agenda, but we had one or two additions for tonight. We have an ordinance 2018-03 that's on first reading that pertains to competitive bidding process. We want to look at maybe possibly repealing that. And then we have ordinance 2018-04 first reading that involves code and parking of certain vehicles in the city of Pahokee. We also have two additions that we will discuss as well. And it's resolution 2018-47. That's clarifying some financial approval processes that we do when we're on contracting. You just want to clarify some language on that. That's the city attorney to clarify that for you. And then we have ordinance 2018-05 on first reading concerning noise ordinances in the city of Pahokee. And of course, we have a presentation tonight, the Mayor's Gold Nail and Hammer Award. Glad to see that we finally got around to our additional quarterly award for the Mayor's Gold Hammer Nail Award, because that's significant. That means someone's been working on their home and really putting some investment into their house to beautify it and bring it up to standards that, help the community increase its value overall. So we're excited to award that tonight. And then we have a second amendment as it pertains to contracts, community-based agencies. Is this a substitution? Page 4 or 5, there was some language change with this contract that's already been approved by the commission. There was just some language changes that the county and the city wanted to sort of clean up. Nothing that changes the outcome or the input of the contract itself. It's just some basic changes there. At this time, ordinance 2018-03, that was the ordinance that allows us to go back and when we have a project that is under a timeline and we feel that the timeline may be in jeopardy, we created that ordinance a couple of months ago, particularly for one project here, to ensure that we had the ability to go outside our normal procurement process. And that project is still ongoing now. I had a conversation with the city attorney, and I told him, I said, I don't think this is the right time to repeal that ordinance because the actual project is still going on. If we were to repeal the ordinance while the project is going on, it looks like it's self-serving. And so I think we need to be careful about that. And that's my only recommendation on 2018-03. Is that project, that ordinance that applied to that project is continuing today. If we were to repeal it, we're telling the state that it was self-serving, we don't need it anymore, yet the project hasn't been completed. Might want to be careful about doing that. That's just a recommendation, it's at the commission's privilege which way you want to go. And that's my only comment on 2018-03.
Just for clarity, with regards to that particular ordinance that we agreed and passed, it does not circumvent the ordinance that's in place regarding approval
Correct.
from the commission.
Correct.
Of 10,000 or more.
No, that's something else. That's ordinance number, that's resolution number 2018-47. I'm on 2018-03.
Understood, yeah.
Right. That's something different, separate.
But I'm saying
But no, it doesn't affect
that still doesn't I know essentially we're talking, we would be talking apples and oranges, but when it comes to, because I guess some of the language that may cause some confusion is going around normal the
Procurement process.
the normal procurement
Right, but
process.
we're only specifically talking about to get the project implemented.
Understood.
We're not talking about once the project is implemented, all of the changes that happen throughout the project, the change orders that may have to happen because there was an assessment of a certain measurement, et cetera, et cetera. This is just completely separate, saying we have an ordinance in place that says when we are up against a timeline that our normal procurement process may affect finishing the project, this allows us to sort of skip over some of our normal procurement protocols to get the project online. And we did that for the Marina project once we kind of went through the thing with Techno Marine. Now we're saying, well, let's just pull it back and repeal it. That's fine with me, but I would say give it 6 months to get the project done and then do repeal. That's just my recommendation. But it's up to the commission which way you want to go. It just doesn't pass the smell test by repealing it so early, soon after the project got started 2.5 months ago. But again, not to be long-winded, it's the pleasure of the commission on how they want to proceed. Just be mindful. I sent a letter to the state saying this project will come online because of this specific ordinance that we put in place, and that's what we're operating under currently.
I have can I ask a question? Is this, I'm trying to get the difference between this ordinance and 2018-01. I thought the 01 ordinance was the one that we were having the questions because
No,
I
it's
thought,
03.
okay, so it's 2018-03?
Right.
Oh, okay, I think we were just, because I think I was one of the commissioners that brought it up. I think I was just emphasizing that we should make sure we revisit and make sure we put a timeline on it, and once everything is done, then we need to make sure we just put a timeline on this, because if not,
And I like that idea, actually. If we would put let's see, we did this
Once
May,
we-
I believe.
right.
If we say if it was given 6 months, that takes us to, I think, maybe the end of October. I can be more agreeable to that than repealing it now within the next 2 weeks, because that gives us enough time to really finish this
Finish the
project.
project.
Right. And then we can come back and repeal it, and then we won't look so self-serving to the state that we passed an ordinance just to kind of satisfy our own timeline. Granted, the state did extend our timeline as well, and we had no idea they would do that when we were passing this ordinance as well. So it's sort of, we helped ourselves and the state helped us as well. But I mean, I'd give it 2 more months. That's just my recommendation. I agree with Commissioner Hill that it should be repealed and taken off the books. But I'd give it 2 more months, but give us an opportunity to finish the project. So I think that's a good idea from Commissioner Hill. And it's just on first reading, so.
But I guess I'm asking the question so that for clarity purpose for all of us,
Right.
that ordinance does not give, and just in straight shooting, does not give you the liberty.
No, you're still mixing this
I'm-
ordinance with ordinance 28-47.
I'm not mixing it. Understand, I'm providing clarity because one of the concerns, if my memory serves me correct, that was mentioned on the dais, maybe not necessarily from me, was that particular ordinance was allowing you to approve expenditures. Yes.
No,
beyond
not this
10%.
ordinance.
I
No,
mean,
not this-
above
Not this-
$10,000.
No, not this ordinance. No. No, we'll talk about that later, but not this ordinance. This ordinance is just repealing our procurement process to bring a project online when we feel that there's a challenge in getting the project completed.
I was just trying to remember, because 2018-01 just kept coming to me, and I think that was the one that the attorney explained to me when
Right.
I think I had a concern in reference to ordinance 2018-01, and I don't know if that is. I gotta find out if that is because I know what you're asking, the $10,000, or I think you should probably get clarity from the attorney. Because I don't. I
Yeah,
have
but
to pull out my own
that's not a
notes.
part of this. I know what he's asking.
And not
but-
speaking for the attorney, I thought from our last conversation the attorney had that whether we repealed it or not, it would not have placed the city in a compromising position. Am I correct from what you stated last meeting concerning the ordinance with regards to kind of circumventing some of our procurement procedures so that we wouldn't lag behind or so that we wouldn't be, I guess, negligent in meeting deadlines?
Yes, sir. The ordinance that you previously approved allowed the commission to bypass its competitive negotiation and competitive advertising process in the event there was an emergency and you had to finish up a project to complete a grant deadline.
For example.
For example, this last grant that we had, and it had to be done by 4 votes of the county or the city commission. So if you did not have an emergency situation or you did not have the 4 votes, you couldn't use that process. I was asked at your last meeting, though, to produce an ordinance repealing it.
Right, that was.
So that, and the reason given was, well, we don't want to slip back into not competitively bidding projects.
Right.
So this ordinance repeals that and requires all projects to be competitively bid, just like they always have been in the city.
But I think he was asking about something totally different.
He's asking about 2018-47. That's not a part of this ordinance. But I understand what he's
Mr.
asking.
Williamson, I understand that clearer than you think I do. I understand it.
I didn't say you were
But
confused.
there was just some misinformation surrounding the ordinance that
Gotcha.
we're talking about now.
I got it.
And I just want, I know we're not live streaming, I wish we were, because there were misinformation. I think one of our jobs is to clear up the misinformation. Am I the only one that heard the misinformation that this ordinance was allowing you to do
Who you hear that
beyond
Where you hear that at?
what the ordinance actually reads? And so I just wanted to clear up misinformation.
That's
Maybe
why I
I'm speaking
think-
or talking
Okay.
well,
Well,
Christ
this-
would talk in terms
This
of
clears it up. I
Hold
mean,
on, what's ordinance 2018-01?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay,
I don't
that-
recall off
that
the top of my head.
ordinance-
yeah, I'm
Is I think what you're talking about. I think that's why I say like apples and oranges is 2 different things. It's two
Well,
because that was
okay.
the one specifically that I.
well, I
If
mean,
you're, are you talking about the first ordinance on the agenda, ordinance
That's what we're talking
21803?
about now. 03.
Okay.
Well,
So-
let me just say this, attorney,
Yes, sir.
because I know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
and I know where I'm going with it. But let me just say this: we can kill this conversation, and
Okay.
we can move forward. And I'll just have an offline conversation with regards to it, because I do understand that the ordinance, what we're saying about the ordinance that we're currently talking about is this: we don't, because of time restraints, we're not going to do the whole competitive bid process that we would normally do. The other ordinance I'm referencing is saying $10,000 or more dollars have to be approved by the commission. But I'll kill the conversation for the lack of argument. And when I say argument, not literal argument, but discussion, so that we can move forward. But I know what I'm saying.
Yes.
I know where I'm going with what I'm saying.
Okay.
Just being a little strategic and shrewd in the way that I'm communicating it, but there was some misinformation tying in the two together, and I was trying to put,
Gotcha.
bring to light some, but we can kill it. Because I'm fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, that took 20 minutes. Ordinance 2018-04. That is concerning prohibiting parking of certain vehicles in residential areas. Is there any questions about that? I think we got 3 minutes before we go into regular commission meeting. The city attorney's been working on this particular ordinance for some time, and it addresses semi-vehicles being parked in residential areas. Hopefully it's received, well here.
My only question with that was, we didn't have anything currently on the books concerning that. This was just a amended ordinance.
For the city attorney answers, I think some time ago on State Market Road, there was a common agreement for semi-trucks of this size could park out there beside the county location where we fuel at. And there are some trucks that use that facility. And so the city did its due diligence and contacted the owner, who happens to live in Virginia. And we asked her if we were going to pursue this type of ordinance, would she be amendable to allowing the semi-trucks to park on her property, maybe at a minimal fee of about $25 a month. And she said maybe, but she wanted to review the insurance and the liability, etc. And so she hasn't gotten back with us. She actually wanted to travel to Pahokee and take a look at, the possibilities of how that would work. But in the interim, the city attorney moved forward with the ordinance because
What
we
I'm
know.
saying, my question is though, we never had an ordinance that addressed multiple semi-trucks on a residential property. I just find that a little surprising that in this instance, we had about 12 parked on Baker Point Road and no current ordinance to address that. I just was a little shocked that we didn't. I just almost assumed that we did, and this one was just being modified to make sure we had the proper language.
What our code officers do is, right now, if they park on the shoulder, like the sidewalk, in the right of way where water lines are installed, they cite them, and that's as much as they can do because they are illegally parked. As far as where they can park in the city overall, I don't recall there being an ordinance that prevents them from doing that. At least that's not what's been relayed to me. What's been relayed is they can cite them when they park illegally, on the sidewalks, halfway in the street, on a residential street, but yet still in front of their home, and it's half of the truck is on the sidewalk, half of it's on their personal property. They cite them for illegally parking, like we do cars.
Yeah,
when they park on the
even
sidewalks.
even the mobile homes, I thought we had an ordinance that only one was allowed per residential owner.
Mobile home?
Mobile homes. I'm just
Oh.
using that as an example. So if we got an ordinance addressing the parking of mobile homes on a private property, certainly I would assume
Well, no,
that we
you
had.
mean the RVs?
Yes.
We do have an ordinance that says RVs, and our new code officer, and he reads everything, and I like him for it, and I respect him for it because it's something that wasn't being enforced. That ordinance says if you have an RV, you have to pay a parking fee to have it at your house because it's an RV. It's an ordinance that's never been enforced, and I think it probably doesn't need to be enforced because of don't get overexcited. It's probably an ordinance that we just don't enforce. He found it, but we're not going back and enforcing it. So please don't take that out of here tonight. We're saying we're going to enforce RVs being parked at your house for a certain fee each month.
Yeah, but City Manager, that's
once a year.
something we need to really probably amend at some point to clarify that. Although it's on the book and we're
Not
not
enforcing
gonna be
it.
enforcing it, I
I
don't
don't
even think
encourage
that's a
it,
good ordinance.
and I wouldn't support it being enforced.
Right.
So
Is there a question? Is there an issue with
Talking about
having
semi.
an ordinance regarding semi truck?
no, I actually want it.
There's no concern among the commission with it.
No, what it is, you have situations where a resident may be having a large backyard and they may park 10 or 12 semi trucks in the backyard. That's not even environmentally
Safe.
safe.
Yeah,
But that's what we wanted to address, and that's what we're addressing.
Okay.
My
The law-
comment
the-
was, I was a little surprised
Oh, that
that we
we
didn't
did.
currently
Right.
have
Oh,
one
okay.
to address
And
it.
current, and the city attorney just indicated we don't have that. The larger concern, and I know we gotta get to the regular commission meeting, the larger concern is the constant use of residential streets over water lines, sewer lines, sidewalks has caused a major issue with repairs. And so, we need to address that, and it's gotten sort of out of hand with some of our semi trucks here in the community, and, hopefully we can come to a resolution that everyone's satisfied with, that there's a time period. If we pass this ordinance, there's a time period to acclimate everyone that operates a semi-trailer, and we identify where they can park that semi-truck after hours. We hope there's an opportunity that they can adhere to it, but again, it's slippery slope, because we've been practicing another way for quite some time. We are in an agricultural community as well, so, but again, we're expending a lot of dollars to replace a lot of streets and sidewalks, and they're a major contributor to that debilitating street, infrastructure, so.
City
that's
Attorney, any closing remark on that? I know you're gonna have to read it into the minutes and explain it during the regular commission meeting, but we did pose a question to you and kind of cut you off on it.
I just think that you need to carefully read the definitions in here of what's being prohibited, because this is pretty much meant to be a draft ordinance for you to look at and make modifications to, if necessary, before it goes forward.
Okay. And this is gonna be like a first reading.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I
Okay.
guess this is why it's so important to have the committees and all the, our different committees,
Okay.
because this is the time now.
Time have elapsed in the workshop. During the workshop, and we will convene our regular commission meeting in 2 minutes.
I just know it's so many in Pahokee, so it didn't bother me. They skip over me, so, and then 30 churches, so we got. No, I don't want to because I know that. I just was reminding them, that's why I say, I don't know if you're gonna bring that this because I know you have to finish it. And when you put this on, it's just like, it's gonna be hard. That's why I just told them. Right, okay.
I'm telling you, you need
Let's do it later. After.
Oh, yeah.
No, I agree. I agree.
I'm coming out here.
Put me in coming in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you put me coming in. Like what time I came in? 6:50.
She's late. Man, I'm ready, because she's late. She's been late, man. She's been late.
She's been sitting late. Celebrity.
Had a little issue after 3 years, but first time late in 3 years. First time late in 3 years.
I got to look at the minutes from everybody else.
I had never missed a meeting till I had to school.
See that? See,
8 years,
never miss one.
never missed a meeting.
Yeah.
Even if I missed, I would call in. So that was rare.
Yeah, yeah.
That was rare too.
I can't recall never missing one. I may have.
In 27 years.
Yeah, I do it on my birthday. I don't recall it, but it's possible.
Oh.
But I don't recall it.
What time did you leave them up?
We have that debate at 2, so hopefully I'll get out there by 12.
Okay.
Be over there by 2. You know, the League of Mayors
You
is
got to say the
posting
mayor
that.
things on the agenda.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Are you ready, City Attorney?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk?
That we clarify.
City Manager?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes.
Commissioner Walker?
Yes.
Commissioner Everett?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
I call this City Commission meeting of the City of Pahokee, regular commission meeting of Tuesday, August the 14, 2018, at 6:39 to order. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Bobby Colvin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to give just a moment to allow Commissioner Walker to stand up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Father, again, we're thankful for this beautiful evening you've given us to come together. Lord, for the business of the city of Pahokee. God, you see our leaders. We ask you to give them your wisdom and your mind to do what should be done for the city. Bless this meeting, we pray, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mary Beth,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Present.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
Commissioner Walker,
Present.
City Manager,
Present.
City Attorney,
Present.
Lieutenant Piccolo,
Here.
Interim City Clerk, present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff, and thank each of y'all for being here today to participate in our regular commission meeting of Tuesday, August 14, 2018. I thank Deacon Colvin for the invocation also. We'll move right through our agenda. The first business is the deletions, additions, and approval of the agenda item. City Manager, at this time, do we have any addition to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor. Resolution 2018-47. That's a resolution clarifying spending approval that exceeds $10,000. That's resolution 2018-47. And we have an ordinance 2018-05, an ordinance that pertains to the City North ordinance. That's 2018-05, an ordinance. And I believe, if I'm correct, that the city attorney would provide a substitute for an amendment to a contract previously approved. I think that's going to be in his report, correct? Or do you want that added?
It's already listed under my report, I believe.
Yes, it is. So that's not an add-on. My apologies. Okay, so there's two add-ons.
Okay, City Commission, do we have any additions? Any deletions?
Discussion.
I was just asking the city manager.
No,
gave-
no additionals. We good.
No, I'm saying the consent, is that from, you can discuss that?
Yes, that can be
Okay.
pulled.
What?
That, the way it's cite,
Cause like,
the way it's
The last one?
presented, we're not gonna have that under consent.
What,
We
the
have
second
one-
amendment? The change out?
yes, cause
You want that under consent?
No, the resolution 2018-47, we're gonna have that on the regular agenda. It's not
That's
gonna be on
consent agenda.
consent, right?
It's slated to be on the
Consent
consent agenda
agenda.
on your
Sorry.
add-on list.
Right.
However, the commission can put it anywhere you want.
Right.
okay.
Okay. I think that's what Commissioner Walker is referring to,
I don't
due to the
understand.
fact that that was just given. We're probably gonna need a little discussion, a little explanation of it. We hadn't had a chance to really read that particular resolution.
Please.
With Are the commission in agreement with that? Currently, we have resolution 2018-47 under the consent agenda. Since it was just presented to us this afternoon, I think we probably need to at least have it explained and kind of have some discussion if
Okay, I agree.
we feel that appropriate.
I agree.
Normally on the consent agenda, all you do is just vote on it. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
discussion.
we
Okay.
we can discuss it.
Okay, so we'll move that off the consent agenda and we'll put resolution 2018-47 under resolution number 3.
That's all the additions, deletions, Mayor.
Right, okay. I'll entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda with the presented changes and additions.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer motion that we accept the agenda as it is printed and has been amended per our discussion.
I'll second that.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill that we adopt the agenda with the additions and the and the add-ons. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for roll call? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes?
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, City Clerk. The agenda items are approved by a unanimous vote. Now we'll move into our citizen comments. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any comment cards from citizens on agenda items only?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move to our public service announcement. You also must have a public service card, comment card completed. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any public service announcement, comment cards?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we have the approval of the minutes of July 24th, 2018, regular commission meeting. What's your pleasure, City Commissioners?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the 2014 commission meeting.
I'll second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Hill that we approve the July 24th, 2018 regular commission meeting. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The minutes of July 24th, 2018 has passed by a unanimous vote. We have 3 ordinance. Ordinance 2018-03, City Attorney.
This is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, repealing Section 2-272, Parens 6 of the Codes of Laws and Ordinances of the City of Pahokee, providing for the waiver of competitive bidding for procurement where the funding source for the project may be jeopardized by the length of the normal procurement process, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, and effective date. As was already mentioned during the workshop, the Commission adopted this ordinance providing for the waiver of competitive bidding because of time restraints necessary to expend grant funds on the marina. That project the time has been completed, and so the question now for you is, do you want to leave this ordinance on the books as written, or do you want to repeal it so that it's not available for use without it being readopted in the future?
And thank you, City Attorney. Let's also keep in mind that the city manager is basically requesting that we may want to delay repealing this particular ordinance at least for maybe 2 to 3 months so that the project that currently on board are completely completed. That's just an option for us to consider as we debate this particular ordinance. I know it's our desire to repeal it, but just a time frame in which we want to do it. Do we want to do it now or allow 2 to 3 months to elapse before readdressing this? So to get into discussion, what I do, we need a motion and a second to discuss.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept the reading of ordinance 2018-03.
Second with the discussion.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill that we adopt ordinance 2018-03 on first reading. Call for questions.
Being that I think I was a commissioner that mainly had the concern about it, I was thinking if we could, would this be a delay, or is it a way that we can kind of hold off probably until this is August, September. Another.
I think we can go ahead and
go ahead, being that it's the first reading.
Eliminate this ordinance with an effective date of
Okay,
say
that's
60
perfect.
days
That's
or
what I
whatever
want.
it
Okay,
may
that's
be.
what I prefer.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, because I was just trying to, because I was thinking about 2 months. So
That's fine.
2 months would be.
That's fine.
That's my concern. That's the concern that I have. It would be 2 months. So that will put a time frame on this particular ordinance.
Yes, we'll amend section 6, so it says that the effective date of this ordinance will be 60 days after the adoption at the final hearing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
In addition to questions,
I'm in agreement to that.
okay. Hearing no additional question, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Ordinance 2018-03 passes on first reading by unanimous vote. Now we would entertain ordinance 2018-04. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, prohibiting the parking of certain vehicles in residential zoning districts, including the core district, providing a conflicts clause, severability, inclusion code, and effective date. If you read section 22-21A, take a careful look at what it is we're prohibiting to be in residential areas, and that is any bus, pole trailer, semi-trailer, trailer coach, and truck in excess of 3/4 ton. Truck, trailer, or industrial equipment. So those would be prohibited in residential areas unless they're there for a short period of time or they're there for doing a delivery or for whatever work they're there to do. Otherwise, they can't be parked in residential areas. So I'm pointing that out to you because it covers quite a few different things, and I think you really need to carefully think about if you want all those type of things prohibited in residential areas.
My only statement, and it's a very short one, is the focus on those large semi-vehicles, those large diesel semi-vehicles, and not like the box truck delivery trucks that we see that come through town, etc. That was my only focus, was those semi tractor trailers. That's it. Again, as the city attorney said, you need to read through it carefully and see what you want included in this. As we build, on this draft for the second reading, we'll be able to give the city attorney some direction on how we should write this ordinance.
And I think also in the interim, we probably need to survey the community with the help of court enforcement to identify some of these other vehicles. Once we look at them, we may say, you know what, that's something we really don't need to be addressing at this time. I'm not saying it may not be a problem in the future, but we don't want to isolate maybe one or two vehicles that really not causing any major concerns or damage in the community. Or you may want to lump them all in at once and just say, let's take care of them all, but that's up to us. But I think we need to do our homework prior to the second reading to make sure that we don't cause more problem than we're solving.
Mayor, Commission, from code enforcement's perspective, we're only recommending that we focus on those semi-tractor trailers over a certain weight and axle limit, axle, on the truck itself. And again, those are those large tractor trailer trucks that are in town. Nothing else at this time.
Well, I'll go on the record to say this. I would strongly support an ordinance that will not allow semi-trucks to be parked, because it's an environmental concern. It's a concern with our streets, our sidewalks, the maintenance of them. But I do agree that if we're going to lump other vehicles in there, that we definitely need to do our due diligence and study. But as far as a big semi-truck,
Yeah, we
definitely not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we're
But-
all clear on that particular vehicle.
But we also all need to keep in mind, we're talking about housing, not if Rooms to Go want to come and drop some furniture off, that they're going to be prohibited. But we need to definitely look at housing, particularly in neighborhoods.
Right.
And
We're not talking about delivery trucks. I think there's something that says a delivery can be up to an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not talking
Deliveries
delivery
are not
trucks. No.
included.
Right.
If someone brings heavy equipment in on a trailer to do a job in somebody's house, that's not included.
Right.
If someone brings in heavy equipment on a big trailer and parks it out in front of their house every night, that would be included.
And again, the recommendation at this point, the city manager is really emphasizing that his major concern is the semi-tractor trailers. The other vehicles, we may want to just eliminate those and address them if we see a major concern develop. We can always add them to the ordinance, or modify the ordinance to address those that we are concerned with. But that's a lot of listing of vehicles there that may not need to be on that list. That's all. I'm just making sure that we're aware of that, and we want to clear up some of those, or most of them, or all of them, except the semis. But at this time, I entertain a motion for the adoption of this resolution, and that would be resolution, ordinance 2018-04. On
Mayor,
first
I'd like to
reading.
entertain the ordinance of 2018-04 first reading.
And they looking too.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of ordinance 2018-04 on its first reading. Call for questions.
I'm sorry, man, I didn't want to interrupt you, but to help the city attorney out, are we giving them some direction to go back and revise for second reading?
We're gonna do that on the questioning now.
Oh, okay.
If
All
it's
right.
up to the
Okay.
commission, if they wanna, if the commission at this time wants the city attorney to go ahead and revise this ordinance, he can do so at our direction. If you think the ordinance is fine as it reads, and you want a little more time to think about whether or not you want to eliminate those other additional vehicles, we can do it at the next reading. Call for questions. What's your pleasure, commissioners? Are you concerned?
Mayor, I think it's fine how it is.
Allow him to go back and revisit the wording of the actual wording, the specific wording of the ordinance. That's
So
what I would.
this is just addressing just the semis, and this addressing all of the vehicles.
All the other vehicles he listed,
So-
that's the concern right now,
Okay.
whether or not
So
we
that's
want
why
to
we probably-
include
So we
all
need
of
to
those
reword
other
it
vehicles
then.
in there. Right.
Yeah, it
You know.
should be reworded then.
Okay, so you want me to reword it so it only prohibits semi-trailers? What about trailers with heavy industrial equipment?
Isn't that included?
But that's included if they're
It's a tractor
coming
trailer.
every night, parking every night.
It's
Correct.
included in here now, but do you want to continue to have it included?
And I
That
think,
should be,
yes.
yes, sir.
I think what we should do is
Do a
pass
home
it
run
because
forward.
it's a first reading.
First reading.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's not like it's gonna go into effect immediately,
That's right.
but go back and
Do some
as
homework.
an individual, do some homework and some study. And if there's anything that needs to be striked out or added, then we can bring that as a suggestion for it. Because I would hate for you to add and delete, and we haven't
Come
thought
back and
about it.
have concerns in reference
Yeah,
to
I
it.
hate for me to
Yeah,
do that
that's
too.
that would be, and I know you would hate that as well, you know. Yeah, but I think that'd be a little bit too cumbersome.
Okay.
All right.
In
So
addition
we
to
just
question,
put- that's it. I think that I agree with Commissioner Everett. Let's just go ahead and pass it and go do some homework first and come back to the table with it. Yeah, for the second reading.
okay. I lost track now. As far as who made the motion?
Vice Mayor Mervin, and then second by Commissioner Everett.
Okay. Hearing no additional question, we'll move for a roll call. Are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Ordinance 2018-04 passes on first reading by unanimous vote. Now we will entertain ordinance 2018-05. City Attorney.
Mayor, this is a ordinance of the city of Pahokee, which I have misplaced.
We just had it.
Okay. Okay, perfect. In here? I'm sure it's not under ordinances. There we go. Okay, this is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, amending section 17 to 16 of the Code of Laws and Ordinances of the City of Pahokee, providing for the enforcement of city noise ordinance violations by law enforcement officers of the state of Florida, providing for conflicts clause, providing for severability, inclusion of the Code of Ordinances, and effective date. Currently, in your code, it provides that the noise ordinance is to be enforced by code enforcement officials, and that's very difficult to do because by the time they get there, the noise is usually gone. So we attempted to change the code a year or so ago that made it enforceable also by police officers in the city. However, we didn't include some necessary language that the Sheriff's Department wanted to have added in there that would make it enforceable by them, particularly with respect to the notice to appear in the event of a violation.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners haven't had ordinance 2018-05 properly read into the minutes. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to make a motion that we accept the ordinance 2018-05.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of ordinance 2018-05 on its first reading. Call for questions. Commissioner Walker.
Will you explain that?
If,
Little bit.
yes, so if a party is making excessive noise that is really disturbing the neighborhood, a police officer will be able to essentially stop the person and give them a notice to appear. In other words, notice to appear in court for a violation of the ordinance. And that would effectively help prevent the noise violation from occurring. If you just had code enforcement people do it, well, code enforcement people usually aren't on duty at night when most of the noise occurs. And by the time your code enforcement person could come to, for instance, a party, the party would be over, there'd be nothing to cite. So this is really the only effective way for you to enforce your noise provisions.
What about, a warning? You know,
The police department always has discretion.
okay.
Yes, absolutely, to knock on someone's door and say, hey, could you turn the music down a little bit? You're bothering the neighbors. And then, if they don't, or if it gets louder and louder as the night goes on, they can go back and say, okay, you didn't listen to me the first time, now we're going to give you a notice to appear.
Right.
In addition to questions, hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Ordinance 2018-05 passes by a unanimous vote. Now we'll move into our resolution. We have three resolutions. The first resolution is Resolution 2018-45. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving and authorizing the mayor to sign a grant agreement with the State of Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, number SL041, for $990,000 for infrastructure improvements to the Pahokee Marina.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-45 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
I would entertain a motion to accept resolution 2018-45.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of Resolution 2018-45. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-45 passes by a unanimous 5-0 vote. Now we'll have Resolution 2018-46. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving and authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement between the City of Pahokee and Thale Construction Company. This is parcel property located on Bacon Point Road, which the city has previously leased to Thale Construction. They're one of the companies that are doing the rehabilitation of the dike, and they have now asked for an extension of that lease agreement for an additional 3 years for an amount of $8,500 a year to be payable in advance. When I say payable in advance, they paid in advance of each year.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners. Having had Resolution 2018-46 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2018-46 as read by the attorney.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2018-46. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-46 passes by a unanimous vote. Now we will entertain Resolution 2018-47. This is a resolution that was pulled from the consent agenda item. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, ratifying certain expenditures of the city which exceeded $10,000 and clarifying the authority for approval. Essentially, this is a resolution that is a safeguard for auditing purposes. The records don't show approval on these items that are attached by the City Commission. And as you know, all expenditures above $10,000 have to be approved by the City Commission. Change orders on contracts that are already approved, if the change order exceeds $10,000, that change order has to be approved by the City Commission. So this clarifies that, and it instructs your finance director not to issue any checks that exceed $10,000 or for which there is not proper backup pursuant to the city's purchasing ordinances. So this is really your last safeguard in the purchasing process. Several commissioners have asked me what the purchasing process is from beginning to end. Well, the very last part of a purchasing process is the issuance of a check. And so that's really your last safeguard to make sure that all expenditures being made by the city have been duly documented and papered and approved by all the people that need to approve it. And so that's why we want to make it very clear that the finance director is not to issue any checks that exceed $10,000 or change orders that exceed $10,000 unless it's been approved by the commission. And that's consistent with your statute, your ordinance is on the book. It's consistent with the finance director's ordinance and responsibilities under the code. And it's consistent with what your city manager does. There are occasions where things do slip by, and particularly in light of the recent circumstance where there was basically an emergency purchasing ordinance in place to allow waiver of the competitive bidding process and an attempt to get those projects done real quick at the end there. So we need to ratify these expenditures and just move on with this understanding in the future. And I think it's really in the city's best interest, and everyone should agree.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-47 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion to accept Resolution 2018-47 as read by the City Attorney.
It has been moved by Commissioner Hill and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2018-47. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-47 passes by a unanimous vote.
Thank you all for the clarification.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. We don't have any public hearings, no proclamations. We do have a presentation of the Mayor Gold, Nail, and Hammer Award. And we're going to have our city manager kind of outline the winner of that particular award. We're going to come down in front, present the award, and hopefully the winner is here. Is he here?
Yes.
Thank you. You can get some background.
Well, thank you, Mayor, Commission. As you know, about a year ago, we created the Lawn of the Month Award. We get that every month. And we also created the Mayor Babs Gold Hammer and Nail Award. This particular award is for a homeowner that goes beyond, not the call of duty, or beyond what we typically see for homeowners when they go and they do these external and even interior renovations to their home to improve the value of it, to improve the aesthetics, and to ultimately to affect the home value, not just of their property, but their neighbors' properties around them. And we try to do that every 90 to 120 days because some of these projects are, they take some time to come online and get completed, just like city projects as well. And so we want to award those homeowners that go the extra mile and really invest, fiscally in their homes to improve it, because ultimately that creates a spirit decor here in the communities. It also affects our home values, and at the end of the day, we want the entire community looking, wonderful to any outsider, insider, tourist, visitor, whoever comes into the city. And so this award is given to the homeowner that goes above and beyond for interior and exterior renovations. And we had, I think, 2 considerations, and we chose this particular home. I think, the Mayor, you have the pictures. We were going to put it on the live screen, but it's not operational. You can pass that around, Mayor. But the winner for this quarter is Eduardo Bernal. I pronounced that right? Okay, have a seat. We're coming out there to you. And so I've been by this home a couple of times over the last 2.5 years. It was up for sale. At one time, it was going to be sold to one individual. Then it got pulled back, and Mr. Vanel purchased it, and he did a lot of extensive work on the inside, and it looks really great now on the outside and the inside. He actually could get the lawn of the month one of these months as well. So we want to congratulate him, and Mayor, take it.
Okay. Would the City Commission join me down at the podium?
You coming?
Sure. Those are minutes. Don't sign those. Don't sign. If you have a blue pen, I need to sign the blue. Kidoki. By the way, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're doing good. Right, now we're gonna change the wording.
Okay, so I'm not gonna take till until we get that back.
Yeah. Yeah, wait until I send them back to you.
Nail, if you would. Nail, on behalf of the Pahokee City Commission, Vice Mayor Clara Mervin, Commissioner Benny Everett III, Commissioner Diane Walker, Commissioner Felicia Hill, myself as mayor, our city manager Chandler Williamson, and our entire staff, it is indeed a pleasure and honor to present you the Mayor Goldhammer and Nail Award for your improvement of your property and your home. I would thank you for your investment in your home and your community. And it's just an honor to give this and present this to you. I'm gonna have Vice Mayor Mervin present the certificate.
Why you not giving me the money?
I'll have Commissioner Everett, her right hand department, present the certificate, and have Vice Mayor present the money.
Mayor's Gold Nail and Hammer Award presented to Eduardo Nail, 121 Bacon Point Road, Oak, Florida, 33476, and
in recognition of home renovations and beautification presented this 14th day of August, 2018. Signed, Mayor Keith W. Babb Jr., Mayor, Commissioner Benny L. Everett III, Commissioner Diane L. Walker, Vice Mayor Claire Mervin, Commissioner Felicia Hill, Chandler F. Williamson, City Manager.
And Ms. Brunel, I would like to give you this big check. It's a big check. And we ask that you please use this within the city limits.
More plants.
Hey, that'll work. But we want to thank you also for beautifying your property, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. My wife wouldn't agree with
And as a recipient, we always give you an opportunity to say a few words.
I'm thrilled. It's a privilege. Again, we have barely scratched the surface. I am so far from finished, but we'll never finish. And my wife is sorry we're in here. We have our grandson who would not be having fun tonight. And it really is a privilege. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you so much. Thank you, man.
Again, that's a quarterly award, and we'll look forward to presenting that during our next quarter.
That's 1221 Bacon Point Road. I didn't announce the address. I don't think I did, Mayor. It's 1221 Bacon Point Road.
Okay, that's conclude our presentation. We're going to go right into the mayor's report. We'll be very brief. The city commission, I guess, along with the city manager, will be attending, and some of our other staff will be attending the Florida League of Cities annual conference in Hollywood. That's Hollywood, Florida, y'all. On August the 15th through the 18th. We find that a exciting event to give us some training and some networking with elected officials throughout the entire state of Florida. The Pahokee Housing Authority has requested the mayor to appoint a board member to their board. Longtime board member Dr. Johnson stepped down in his position in July. I would like to recommend Mr. Carl Morrison for that appointment. I would just like to have that confirmed.
No.
I would like to have that confirmed by the city commission.
I'll second motion that, Mayor.
I'll third motion.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill for the appointment of Mr. Carl Morrison to the Pahokee Housing Authority Board. Question, call for question.
Yes. Did we background that fella?
In addition to questions, hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes.
Commissioner Everett?
Without no reservations.
Commissioner Walker?
Yes.
Mayor Babb?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. And thank you for accepting the invitation to be a board member, Mr. Morrison. I know you're going to do an outstanding job for that board.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, just as Mr. Morrison loved to give us homework assignments and loves to use the A word and it's longer than the three-letter word accountability. I would definitely like to say something to Mr. Morrison with regards to his new appointment. I would expect that you would be leading in trying to create some dialogue with the city municipality, along with this board that you will be serving on, to see what we can do in this upcoming year with not just housing that we currently have, but housing for that middle class family and also first time buyers. So I will definitely be talking. It's good to have you on that board as a new addition, and hopefully we can have some new life and bring in some communities within our city that can attract professional people, but also give those people that may be living in Friend Village, Paget Island, McClure. A lot of times we get a lot of fake news on Facebook that down individuals that live out there, but also giving them an opportunity to come up and improve their living conditions. So I definitely look forward to great things coming from that board with your presence being on there.
And Mayor, I would like to also, knowing Mr. Morrison, that's why I had no reservation also for that appointment, because you know he gets here and he will hold you accountable. So, and I think that's be a great appointment for Mr. Morrison with the wisdom and the knowledge that he has of this town. And hey, I'm looking for great things.
Again, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Mr. Morrison. City Clerk, if you could submit a letter on behalf of myself and the City Commission to Ms. Hale, the Executive Director of the Housing Authority, with Mr. Morrison appointment and his contact information so they can get in contact with him to officially swear him in as a new board member. Thank you. And if needed, well, I'll be in to sign it, or you can just use the stamp. All right, thank you. Also, the selection of our business of the month will be Vice Mayor Mervin. At our next commission meeting, she'll be selecting the two business of the month. And lastly, just want to bring up, and I think Commissioner Everett probably going to bring it up in his report, but we want to take some consideration of giving the city manager a salary increase. So we want to put that forth a motion and a recommendation, but I'm going to allow Commissioner Everett to bring that up on his report. I just want to kind of alert the city commission that that's going to be coming forward. And lastly, I think that's it. Yeah, that's the end of my report. City manager report.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, I need to say one thing.
Yes, sir.
The budget, we're close to finalizing our budget. It will be a balanced budget. I just want to publicly thank the city manager and finance director and staff. It takes the directors and everybody working together to come up with that balanced budget. So I just want to personally thank him and the city staff on behalf of the city commission. We know you had to do a lot of work to come up with a balanced budget, and we thank you for that. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Commission, residents, visitors, those listening in. Have a short report. One is concerning the old Pahokee High School. As you know, we're continuing to renovate this historic structure. Typically at times, someone asked me earlier, you know, is work still going on? Yes, there are some parts in the windows that they wanted to address, and so they're taking some parts out and taking it to the warehouse. But that project is continuing. Oftentimes, if you don't see a lot of action there, there's 3 or 4 people on the inside doing some things in preparation of sealing the building. So that project is moving forward. It's just at times it may look like no one's there, but there is, and there is at times there's no one there in the morning times until the afternoon. But that project is moving forward. No report on the gymnasium project. As you know, that's going to be funded by the county. Of course, they have to go through their protocols of getting all the prior permits that were pulled on this and the plans that were previously developed by Hedrick Brothers. Got an email today requesting those previous plans. So that project is now picking up a little steam. We hope we can get that project online pretty soon.
And that's Barfield.
No, that's that's the gymnasium.
Gymnasium, okay.
Yeah, Barfield Highway, we're in communication with FDOT now. We're trying to get the engineers, the surveying, the specs of that highway fleshed out as that paperwork, and that, there's some red tape there to get that started. So it'll be a while as they go through their prerequisites there, as engineering, surveying, and some additional things they have to do technically on this large project. It's a large undertaking, so there's a lot of people that are involved with it, from District 4 down in Fort Lauderdale, FDOT's District 4 headquarters, all the way up to Tallahassee. So we're progressing with that on a good timetable. But again, it's up to District 4 and how they respond to what we're providing them, and the surveying, the engineering, all of those prerequisites that's required, because it's going to be a heavy, it's going to be a massive project when they get started. So there's a lot going into it. It's not forgotten about. It's not been shoved on the shelf. There's just a lot of things that are going on in the background before that project can take off. So it'll be a while before we see a shovel in the ground, but it's moving forward. Lastly, we did get a response back from financing of renovation of the football field. They came back with a 4.9% rate for getting that field completed. We do have the funds that are coming in on our surtax over the next 9 years that will get that project completed. We'll have that conversation at the next commission meeting. I just want to let you know there was a response from the financial institution on helping us get that particular surtax project completed. Glaze Citizens Villa, we're there now. Finally, we're there now. We sent out letters on yesterday, Friday and yesterday, pertaining to all of the residents if they built fence lines within the right-of-ways of the city, that will be coming through and removing those fence lines if it's in the right-of-way where we have to get in behind the rear of the homes to address the culverts that behind it that drain the water. There are a couple of homes that are like that, several homes. So we had to put that letter out first to let them know that we'll be removing those fencing that they installed to get to those culverts. Some people did it the way they should. They installed the fence, and they installed it 10 feet back from the right-of-way. Years ago, I guess they predicted that one day, that the county or the city would come in and do some renovations. So it doesn't apply to everyone in the community, and everyone doesn't have a fence behind their home in the community as well. So we had to get that letter out first because we didn't want people to get upset. Oh, this also includes sheds. If they install sheds in that line where the culvert is, that shed is going to have to be removed, by the city and by the contractor as well, to get to those culverts, to start putting in those that stormwater system.
And I know this may seem a little cumbersome. Was the letter sent out to everyone in the neighborhood, or was it targeted?
No, it's everyone. It's every home in the community. Okay. Yeah, doesn't mean your home is one of those homes, but we want to give it to everyone. Because every home doesn't have a shed. Every home doesn't have a backyard fence either. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, if you got an old broken down car, in the right of way, we're going to have to tow that out of there somehow. So we just want to let them know that we'll be coming through and looking at all of the right of ways and where the fences are set and where the sheds are, to ensure that the contractor can get in there and start their work efficiently. But it's starting, Mr. Morrison, finally. We got all the meetings out the way with the engineer and the contractor. Everything's in place now, so we're ready. And my apologies for that delay, because it's been several months of delays with this project. Thanks to the attorney for getting a little involved there as well, helping us kind of push the contractor and the engineer along to this implementation of the beginning of this project. So thanks, City Attorney. So that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
One more thing. August 28th is the primary. That's a commission day, and I know you mentioned before that when that happens, that we would cancel a commission meeting. So you can cancel that commission meeting, or you can have it the day before. I think if it's okay with it's the 27th,
With
so we
the
want to take a
city
look at it.
commission pleasure, we can either cancel it all together. We're only required by ordinance to have one city commission meeting per month. We normally have two, which is what we do. So we don't want to interfere in any way with elections, especially major elections. We're electing a governor, senator. I mean, we got a lot of things on the table, so.
Council.
No, I
Can-
agree
Yeah.
with council.
And if I see a need that we need to have one, if the city attorney feels we need to have one, we'll come back and try to have it for that Monday, if we need to have it.
Okay.
Fine with that. Thanks.
Do we need that official? Let's
Motion to
Yeah,
cancel
let's
that
do a
meeting,
motion
yes,
and a roll call on it.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we cancel August 28th commission meeting because of our statewide elections, primary elections. Also, if there is any important matters that need to be conducted in terms of business, the city manager and mayor will set an emergency meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill that we cancel our August 28th regular commission meeting. In the event that there is any emergency or important meeting necessary, we will call a special meeting. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The August 28th, 2018 meeting is canceled. I got one thing to announce before I move to the city attorney. I failed to mention, we mentioned it in our workshop. We're not live streaming tonight. We are recording this meeting, but unfortunately, we had a lightning strike in this building last night, and it kind of damaged our equipment. But it will be up and running by our next meeting. And speaking of live streaming, I did meet a councilman from Revere Beach, and he's the president pro temp, T.D. Davis. He actually say that he watches the City of Pahokee council meeting every meeting. That along with the county commission meeting. Those are only two meetings he watched. And I think that's a compliment with this commission and our staff. At one point, it was a little battle there. I think things are settled down and we're working as a team and we're really moving this city forward. He had a lot of good compliments about the city of Pahokee. He said we was really on the ball and even complimented our city manager for moving us in that direction. So I thank you for that. City attorney.
Yes, sir.
Can before the city attorney proceeds with his report, the city manager did throw out the about the primary election and all, but I did have a follow-up question with your report with regards to the hospital, not just status, but I work next to it, and just in terms of presentation, we are now responsible for the care of the lawn.
Need some care.
It was cut, but
Okay.
the presentation needs to be a lot better than what I saw it today.
Understand.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
And while we're on that, even the property that Mr. Perez was renting, maybe weeding. I know you can't go there with a
We're getting in.
lawnmower.
We're planning to get in there and do some things.
Okay.
We're actually doing some planning now to get that parking lot cleaned up. We may utilize it for storing all of those main heavy vehicles that you see in the middle of town at the old fire station. We plan to relocate a lot of those vehicles off the main roadway behind that fencing once we clean up that area and do some things with the building.
Has an official inspection been done of the building?
Yes, we did a walkthrough and
Changes of locks?
changing their locks. Yes.
Okay.
Everything. We did a walkthrough. It's a building.
Okay, thank you. City attorney.
Mr. Mayor, the commission adopted resolution 2018-44, which approved a second amendment to the contract for the community-based agencies. It was an agreement between the city and Palm Beach County. After the agreement had already been sent to the city by the county and approved by the city, went back to the county said, hey, we need a couple of amendments to it. There's some things we missed in it. So instead of trying to put it back on the agenda again, I am asking you to give us the authority to swap out the pages for the amendments. The amendments are nothing substantive. They forgot some language in one paragraph. Another paragraph, they needed to add a couple words to that really don't change the intent of the grant. They had the city's address wrong, and the manager for the contract was wrong. So we'd like your permission to swap out those pages, so that if you could provide us with a motion to swap out 2 of the pages with respect to resolution 2018-44, I'd appreciate it.
City Commissions, what's your pleasure?
Excuse me, that's 3 pages.
We ask for a motion to swap out those 3 pages that's been noted in the city attorney report.
Mayor, I make a motion to swap out those pages as stated by the city attorney for resolution 2018-44.
Yes.
And I second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Everett to swap out the 3 stated pages. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervis,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Motion passed by unanimous decision. City Attorney.
That's all, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have no old business at hand. Lieutenant Piccolo, anything for the sheriff's department?
No,
Thank you, sir. Now we're moving to citizen comments, general concerns. City Clerk, do we have any comments card completed?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we have the correspondence, comments, concerns of the city commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Hill.
Fortunately, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out to the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Walker.
First of all, so I can forget, I want to welcome our new city clerk. I know she's not a new employee, but she's new in her position. So I welcome you and thank you for being the clerk. Second of all, I want to say thank everybody for their support past 2 months. It's really been hardship for me, but I thank you all for your prayers and support. Second of all, I wanted to say I want to city manager, I want to or the city commission address to vehicle, the vehicles. Anyway, I want to see
Gas, a report,
yeah, that on the
mileage.
It's like a bit what you call it? It start with a B. It starts with the V. The you know when they call all the vehicles fleet. Yes,
Fleet.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We want to have some discussion, and we need to decide if we are going to have to
Fleet.
fleet department. So I'm just telling you all my concern about her. We having fleet department. Cause you know we need to know what's going on with when the vehicles are being moved, traveled, and we are responsible for using that vehicles and the gas of those vehicles. And I think that's all I got right now. But anyway, I want to say, have a good evening, everyone. Thank
So
you.
just to follow up with that, City Manager, maybe at the next commission meeting, could you have maybe some type of report or some recommendation as far as fleet management and kind of just outline,
What we do?
those procedures and where we are in there?
No problem.
Okay, and I want to apologize to Commissioner Walker from last commission meeting, because she had a request at the end of the meeting, and I thought it was kind of a long meeting. That request was to establish a date for the commission retreat. So I don't know if you had time to really look at it.
Apologize me. I said you do give me apology.
I do. So we're just asking so we can kind of add it to our calendar. I know we got a lot going on. We're going to be going to the league meeting this week. We still got these projects, but we do need to get together, come together, and have a staff retreat.
I'll do this. I'll email some dates. I got to get with the city attorney. I think he wants to be there.
Okay,
And,
sure.
and then we'll email some dates, and then we'll go from there.
I think, I don't want to interrupt, but I think Commissioner Walker was also, in reference to the fleet discussion, she wants specifics on it, not just the outline of what's being done and what's the process. She wants specifics on who's assigned to what vehicle, the mileage that they're using in the vehicles, how much gas, specific information. No, I didn't want her to watch it, but yeah, that's what she was asking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Everett.
Yes. I got a few items that I want to discuss. One, I was thinking about asking you to do that.
Yeah, I should have went before you.
Is that okay, Mr. Mayor? If Commissioner Mervin goes,
Yes, sir.
since everybody but me is at a rush to go home.
No, he just a preacher, so he take long.
No, I'm being facetious.
I just have a couple questions for the city attorney that I jotted down. Number one, Mr. Brandenburg, I would like to know where do we stand with the Techno Marine recovery of the contract monies?
Lawsuit's been filed. We're in the period called discovery. We've sent them requests for information. They have to answer those in the next 30 days. There's been no progress other than that.
Okay, second question. If and when or can there be any criminal charges filed in this case?
There's been no talk of criminal charges in that case. We can refer the matter to the state attorney's office for them to take a look at, or the attorney general's office, if you would like to have that done.
I think so now. Number three, will attorney fees be recovered and the city will lose no money in the filing in this case?
No. The attorney fees will not be recovered. Attorney fees are not eligible for recovery unless there is a statutory provision or a contractual provision providing for attorney fees, and there are neither in this case.
What about court costs?
Nope.
Why not?
There's a slight chance that we may get court costs back, but they're negligible compared to the other monies that are involved.
You say negligible with regards to the other monies involved. So they would not be negligent in terms of us, having costs brought.
If we get a judgment, we can ask the court to impose court costs. Court costs are, going to be a couple $100 in this
Oh, okay.
case.
Well, I think
Compared
it should
to
go
the
down to everything.
$125,000 that we're going after, they're not really significant.
Okay.
And so you said something about we could send it to the Attorney General?
We could ask for the Attorney General's office to get involved, or we could ask for the grant agency that gave us the grant to look into it to see if it constituted a activity that they would be interested in.
I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
You're taking him.
In addition to that, I would recommend
So
that
do
we
that, I'm sorry,
at least report it to the Better Business Bureau. That may help protect another entity from entering into an agreement. Maybe it hit them in their pocketbook, because I kind of review the Better Business Bureau when I'm looking at hiring a contractor. So that shouldn't take a whole lot to make a complaint with them.
Okay.
So do we need to make a motion regarding about seeking, sending to the Attorney General? Do we need to make a motion for that?
I think it's a consensus that
Okay.
I should do that on your behalf, and I will.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. But you, I guess where I'm stuck is at step 2. Point of discovery.
Yes, sir.
You saying the law, so we understand the lawsuit has been filed,
That's right.
but we're at the point of discovery.
Discovery is a process that each side goes through where there are different mechanisms where you discover all the evidence that the other side has. So you take depositions of parties, you send out what's called requests for admissions, interrogatories, and notices to produce. I've sent them a notice to produce certain documents that they claim they have, but they've never shown us. And I'm waiting to get those back now.
Okay.
So just Mr. Brenner, so are we aggressively, going after it? I'm just saying that's $125,000,
Yes.
that we could use back on the marina.
That's absolutely right.
So,
And we are aggressively pursuing it. You have to understand that when you file a lawsuit that goes to trial in Palm Beach County, you're lucky if you can go to trial in a year and a half. So if they do not come forward and agree to settle the case, and we push it all the way to trial and get a judgment, the soonest you're going to get that judgment is a year and a half after we file the case. Then after the judgment is put in place, then you have to attempt to recover the judgment by going after their bank accounts or assets, or them voluntarily paying it. That's assuming they don't appeal the judgment. If an appeal occurs, that's another year. So this isn't like a small claim action in county court where you get relatively quick responses. If you're in circuit court asking for these types of money, it's going to be a year and a half to go to trial at minimum. Could be longer. Is there any way to hurry that up? The answer is no.
Business is booming, huh? For the circuit court.
Very busy.
Oh, ask me, I know.
Yes.
Boom.
In addition to comments, Vice Mayor?
No, sir. Yeah, oh yes, one with the live streaming. I know it's being recorded, but is it a way that it could get on YouTube later?
That is my plan to take the audio recording, put a static image on top, and upload it to all respective places. So that is my plan to attempt to do that.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing before Mr. Commissioner Everett starts? I just some of these questions I'm gonna get with the city manager and ask one-on-one. But I must say Parks and Rec is one of my biggest things that I really want to just get more involved in. But I just want, especially with the fleet information that Commissioner Walker brought up, I want to know about the Parks and Rec. Do they have a car? And why don't they have a car? And then I wanted to know specifically, because I was going to ask this by alone, but I think this is just one because I try to, there are certain things that I see and that I hear. Why is it Miss Adams doesn't have a car? Because I think the Impala, whatever that she has, that vehicle, is not, it doesn't work. And I want to know why the certain people are having certain vehicles, driving certain vehicles back and forth. But these other questions that I have, I'll ask them one-on-one. But those two are some things I just can't. I want to make sure I put it on record because it's just a big concern for me. It's just certain things that is going on, and I feel that as commissioners or as leaders in this community, you hear certain things from even the staff members, and you just it hurts to lay on it and not address certain things. So there are things that I will be asking him one-on-one, but those two are mainly, and with the trainings, with the staff attending more than one training a year, and just certain things like that.
And we didn't discuss this. I want a record.
Oh no, I didn't. No, wait, I didn't. I just when you brought up the fleet.
I'm telling you,
that just made me think of the questions. Oh no, we didn't. It was no discussions. No,
but
no.
So Commissioner Keel,
can we have the motion on this that we are having the we are going to discuss this about the vehicles.
The fleet, right?
The fleet, yes.
Okay.
I would like a motion on that.
Okay. A motion for what?
For us to
Why
have
would we have a motion on day-to-day activities when I can discuss that one-on-one offline? I mean, come on.
I want.
Let's discuss that offline.
Oh no!
I mean,
I'm saying
what's the reason to have a motion for that?
discussion for not that that's not day to day.
Yes, it is. That's a
vehicle safety.
We're not talking about vehicle safety. You're asking about specific use.
I think she's
mileage,
just concerned about the.
Listen, I mean, that's redundant here. It's a day-to-day decision of the city manager.
No, it's not redundant.
Why do we need a resolution? I mean, a motion for that?
The city, okay,
what we'll do, city manager, just include those additional concerns of who's driving the vehicles and the rationale behind it.
I'll make sure you have it for the next commission meeting.
Right.
Just want
I'll
to make
plan
sure
it out for you, but I don't think we need a motion for that for day-to-day activities. That's not city business. That's not how you run commission meetings. You want motions on day-to-day operations of the city manager.
We don't give them.
I can provide.
You don't give them.
I said I'll provide it to you anytime you want. I said to come meet me anytime you want. You have to come meet me for those offline questions.
I think most of the concern though is from the mileage and the gas and the money's piece that's being spent in these situations.
Commissioner Hill, our mileage and gas is appropriated through our budget.
Well,
So that's not something that we're overusing, underusing.
But
It's
that-
through our budget.
but I think as
So y'all have
commissioner,
to
we
know,
just
this commission
wanna-
has to understand that we
But
budget.
but
for
can
all
I
this.
say
No, you
something?
can't.
Can I say something? I think if we're going to have productive and fruitful, and with all due respect, Mr. Babb, Mayor Babb, if we're going to have fruitful and productive conversation, and I think I've said this on a couple of occasions, I think we need to create an environment where, when communicating, there's a sender and a receiver. And I think we need to allow, even if we disagree, I think we need to allow a person to really get out their statements and their comments, because it's a lot of over talking.
Thank you.
And I would encourage my colleagues, even if we want to discuss it in our next meeting, I would definitely encourage the conversation to be one-on-one with the city manager. But also, if we want to discuss the issue of the fleet, I think you need to give him what you specifically ask him what you want. The
That's
sign
what's
in,
going on
how the cars
That's
are
what's
signed
going on.
in, signed out,
Exactly.
and et cetera, et cetera. But I just want to say, on both sides, both city manager and commissioner, I think we need to create an atmosphere where we can ask those questions without the over talking.
I also feel as though if a question or a concern is coming up from the commission, that I understand that the city manager may have a concern that it is it's day-to-day operations. However, some of the questions that are being asked, it goes back to some of the funds or some of the monies or whatever that are being used in these situations. And I don't think it's an issue for asking these type of questions. That's why I did say, because if I ask all of them, we would be here all night. That's why I did say I can ask some of them one-on-one. But there are some questions, I'm sorry, as a commissioner, city manager, I just feel I just can't lay and rest every day just knowing that some of these the employees or the staff members have all of these issues going on, and we just act as though we just don't see them. I mean, we're here every day. We have to look at these people every day in this community, in the grocery stores, and I will continue to say that. So as a commissioner, I know we have bigger issues, greater issues going on, but these are some of the things that I feel that are almost like, I call them, like I said to you a while back, these are the little issues that I feel can make a much more conducive environment for everyone, not only the employees, but the commissioners. We won't have all these questions coming up, I feel as though, if there were things put in place that wouldn't allow us to have to come back and ask these type of questions. That's just what I feel. And if it's going into city business, then I would want someone who's recording, you stop me there. But if I'm in this community every day, and I'm at a grocery store and people are walking up and they're having concerns, everything I don't bring back, but there's just some things that are just so obvious that I feel needs to be addressed at times, and I don't think it's a problem with us asking those questions. And I feel if we ask the question, we should get an answer. There's nothing wrong with that. If everything is okay, why not just answer it and keep it moving? Because these are vehicles that are being driven. I understand they're being driven by certain people. May not have to tell the rationale or give us the reason as to why it's being driven, but they're using the gas. We're having to pay for this. The community is having to pay for this. So what's wrong with the commissioners asking those questions? I don't see an issue with it.
Commissioner Hill, 99% of the questions that you ask here that are not on the agenda, I welcome you to come to your one-on-one as any other commissioner and get them answered. What the city manager is saying, if you do that, you will find yourself not straying away from what your agenda says, and you will have all the answers you want if you engage the city manager in your one-on-one appropriately. I'll answer those questions.
And city manager,
to bring it in here and go, hey, what's the answer to that question? You're not going to get that from me in here, because I have to go back, research, talk to directors, look at data, and respond to that question. But all I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with asking the questions. But 99% of your questions can be answered before you walk in here, individually and collectively. And we don't do that. And I've been asking for that, and I'm still asking for it. Come engage your city manager, get the information that you need, get the questions answered that you're asking, but don't save them for here when you can get them before you get here.
Okay.
That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Because
I
there's no
understand.
wrong question, there's no bad question, but you can engage me well before you walk in here. So it's not like some show we putting on.
Okay.
But just come engage the city man. I've been asking for that.
Okay, I respect that. Now,
Each
city
one of you have a date and time.
I
If
respect
you come
that.
and do that, all of the questions you have can get answered.
And city manager, as a commissioner, I work for the citizens in this community. I would prefer, some of these questions I would prefer to be answered with here so that the citizens in the community can hear it and get the response from the city manager. That's what I prefer to do, and that's what I will continue to do. And I would ask that you please give us certain, if we asking for certain documentations that's related to these questions, please just bring those
Commissioner Hill,
documentations
I
to
don't
here
have
so
it,
that the
but
citizens,
when you ask
so that
those
the
questions,
citizens,
but when you ask those
so that the
questions out of line
citizens can
here,
see them.
I don't have those files with me.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's
So
why I
that
said
the
if you ask those questions before you
citizens
get
can
here, they get
see
answered.
all of the questions that are being answered. I will continue to ask those questions. I
Well,
will continue.
and all due respect, the response would be, give us an opportunity to respond the next day or the day after, because I don't
No
have
problem.
that information here.
No problem.
That's only right. That's what I'm saying.
Hopefully, we got the majority of the concerns or questions that commissioners asking for, and they'll be put in a report, some type of outline to be distributed to the commission. In addition to that, everyone still have the option of, sitting down with the city manager one-on-one to get any additional information. But I understand both points. She's wanting it to be more publicly on certain questions that she's
Right.
being consistently asked about. Commissioner Everett, could you wrap it up for us, sir?
I just have a few observations that I would like to make, and I do appreciate the gentleman letting us know that that the meeting would be posted with a stationed or static, however he placed it, picture. But I would rather give one of my statements while it is live streamed, because I want to not only address the people here, but I also want to address our community at large, because I'm not on Facebook, and I'm not on Facebook purposely because of some of the posts that have been very derogatory and inflammatory to the point that it has bordered the lines of race. Race has been discussed from particular persons and groups, even to the point of encouraging blowing up the dike and all of that other foolishness. And I understand in the age and in this political climate that we're in, is kind of quintessential for us to beat the other person going to social network and putting posts. And it seems as if posts are replacing truth and facts. And so I want to definitely encourage our citizens that if a group of us fail, or if certain persons fail as a city, we all fail. And I just don't think it is productive for progress when we get on social networking sites and do what I have seen done, calling a community that I'm a part of, the African American community, lazy individuals. And this is not rumor. This is not a church Bible study, a Sunday go to meeting conversation. This is things that citizens have forwarded and sent to my text. And it's something that I will not tolerate. And it's something that I will vehemently speak out against, because it is crazy and it does not make for healthy business in terms of attracting people to come in and do legitimate business with us. I have no problems with anybody disagreeing with any actions or decisions that are made from this dais. But when you get to the point of calling individuals names and inciting individuals to do something criminal or to talk about a community that I am a part of, I can't sit there silent and not address it and not say anything about it. So I'm going to say something again when it's live stream in public, because it is ridiculous. And if the Palm Beach County Sheriff Office can do something to, and from what I was told, I don't know how accurate it is, but some of those threats are being followed up because it's ridiculous, and it needs to cease and it needs to stop. I'm one that is big on accountability, and if it's something that we have failed to do as a city, be it commissioner or city manager, and it is substantial, by all means, you have citizen comments that you can come and address it, and you have the city hall that is open on Mondays and Fridays to address it, but not in the manner in which it has been addressed on social media. Also, I think it would be to our best interest, Mr. Mayor, if we would look at our committees and revisit them and purge them if necessary, because our committees need to be active. They need to be activated. They need to be doing something. In terms of a concern was brought up about beautification. Maybe that committee can lead in educating communities and neighborhoods about, hey, picking up paper, illegal dumping. Maybe if, we don't have neighborhood association, but if we could sit down with that beautification committee and talk about having neighborhood groups where we could talk about beautifying all areas of the city of Pahokee, not just being so tunnel focused. And I'm glad we're looking at taking advantage of the marina and doing something with the marina, getting investors to come in and doing something legitimate with the marina. But we cannot forget that there are other areas that are a part of the city of Pahokee. It is not just the marina. There are the MLK Park that needs to be looked at, along with Commissioner's Park. It's rotten. Other areas in the city of Pahokee that we need to be focused on looking at, and I think our beautification committee could lead that task force in beautifying all of Pahokee. Another thing that I wanted to, and I'm glad the city manager addressed it because I wanted to bring it up, we definitely need to have a commissioner retreat. I think some things that took place tonight is evidence rather, that we need to have a commissioner's retreat more than we did that town hall, because tonight is a town hall meeting. When we need to bring more substance and continue to bring more substance to these meetings so that our community is well informed. But we need a retreat because we need to discuss those issues regarding day-to-day operations. We do need to talk about issues as it relates to what our responsibilities are as a commissioner, but also discuss what we would like to see our city manager do different, do better, what have you. Because one of the things I do want to speak to is we need to create an environment where we can talk with the city manager one-on-one, and he has opened that door. But we also need to create an environment where when questions are answered from the dais, it's strategic. We don't work for a select group. We work for a community. And sometimes when we ask those questions, we're not asking those questions. I know I'm not asking those questions for an I got you moment. But the people that we go to on January and February and our last minute rush in March, they're looking at, does that candidate represent what I want a commissioner to embody? And I can't go to those folk in March, in election season, and say vote for me, but they don't see those one-on-ones where I'm sitting and talking to the city manager about concerns that may be unique to them or near and dear to them. So I think we need to create an environment where we're not defensive when questions are asked. But we ask those questions because while we